Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are. Some stories are so miraculous that they remind us how God's hand works even when everything seems lost. Madame Little Lamb's parents lived through war, persecution, sad loss of young children due to illness and starvation and separation. Yet God brought them back together against all odds. Let's hear her share this extraordinary testimony.
When I think about my parents, I realize how deeply God's protection has covered my family for generations. My father, CYT1, and his brother, WTT2, came from a once wealthy landowner's family in mainland China. The original surname of my father and uncle was Yip, but during the years of suffering and persecution resulting from Japan's full-scale invasion of China, followed by the outbreak of World War II, most of their immediate family members were killed by homicide or suicide, as the level of persecution's torture was beyond their coping abilities. Only a few managed to survive, my father and uncle, his younger brother, being two of them, but they lost their parents in their early teens and managed to survive only because they were adopted by two families under the surnames of T1 and T2, respectively, in southern China. On one occasion, I did ask my father if we should change our surnames back to Yip. He said no need, as his father was also an adopted son to the Yip family, with their real original surname being untraceable. My mother, SKT3, had a very different story. Her mother, as well as her immediate family, was originally from Indonesia, a woman being trained as a medical doctor who believed in free choice of love. Back in her homeland, arranged marriages were common at the time, but she followed her heart to visit mainland China to marry my maternal grandfather, which is her lover by choice, and lived in China thereafter. Sadly, their happiness didn't last long. When my mother was about 8 years old, she went out walking with her father one day, holding his hands. And a bomb suddenly fell from the sky, which was when World War II broke out. Her father died instantly before her eyes. The shock broke my maternal grandmother's heart, and she sadly died of a broken heart just a year later. My mother was thus left an orphan, still a child herself, and with no choice but to become a child bride in my father's adoptive family, helping out with farming tasks since childhood. So she was illiterate, not knowing how to read or write, not even her name. She didn't choose this path. It was survival. As for my father, he's more fortunate. Via Madame Wong's, his adoptive mum, support, he managed to finish his high school education, due to which he was able to secure a stable job as a government officer in China, earning a decent living there. My mother wasn't as fortunate. She never had the chance to receive any education due to her loss of parents since young during the outbreak of World War II. When my mum reached her adult age, she got married to CYT1 according to plan in mid-1940s. Within their wedlock, my parents had their first 3 children in China, whilst all younger 5 children were subsequently born in Hong Kong much later, which was from 1958 onwards. Hence, to begin with, they had 2 sons and 1 daughter in China. But even with proper work and family, my father saw what was coming and wanted to leave China and relocate elsewhere, whilst my uncle chose to stay put and settle in Guangzhou/southern China instead. So, these different values and perspectives towards life had led them pursue totally different directions/life pathways, which also hugely affected next generations to come. China's future looked uncertain at the time. My father wanted freedom for his family, even if it meant losing everything. So he made a bold, life-risking decision to leave for Hong Kong for good. He gave up his well-paid government job and tried to escape China via swimming across a sea, an unfriendly place where humans are prone to risks of deaths due to drowning or being attacked by sharks. In his first attempt of escape, he was caught by the authorities and deported back to China, where he was imprisoned for several months. But he didn't give up. On his 3rd attempt, he finally succeeded and reached Hong Kong safely in mid-1950s. My mother's journey was not an easy one either. She travelled on foot with some fellow villagers a year or so later, trying to cross several mountains to get to Hong Kong. Soldiers guarded the area, as some similar fellow travellers recalled a number of them had to hide inside some empty coffins at times, so as to avoid being seen and caught. My mother fortunately made it to Hong Kong via her first attempt in 1957 approximately. In China, my parents sadly lost their two older sons in infancy due to illness, famine or starvation before they escaped to Hong Kong as refugees, though their eldest daughter KTT1, a toddler at the time, did survive in China being cared for and supported by Madame Wong, her adoptive grandmom, single-handedly via Madame Wong's earning a meagre income from engaging in farming work. She used to be slightly better off as she regularly received some remittance from Jamaica, maintenance money sent by her husband/HCT, one who had gone there to earn a living since mid-1930s. This was exactly why Madame Wong had some spare resources, in the beginning, to adopt my father as her son, and also to bring up my mum as a child bride. However, the said remittance didn't last much longer than the first few years. It was believed HCT1 had apparently started a new family with another woman in Jamaica, after which he had thus forgotten and abandoned Madame Wong altogether. Several years later, Madame Wong and KTT1, my eldest sister, joined their family in Hong Kong after they knew via some indirect information from fellow villagers that my parents felt more settled in their living in Hong Kong. The whole relocation process was a very tough journey through grief, fear and struggles, though also with faith. When both my parents finally made it to Hong Kong, they had no way to contact each other. They didn't know if the other was still alive or not. Each believed they might never meet again. But God had already written their reunion into his plan. One day, by what seemed pure coincidence, though I know now it was divine arrangement, by chance they bumped into each other one day on the same street in Hong Kong. After everything they'd been through, after oceans and mountains, after despair and risks of deaths, they met again face to face in Hong Kong. My parents' story is one that reminds me, God's hand is never far. He doesn't just rescue us from physical danger, he prepares paths we can't yet see. If he could reunite my parents across war and persecution, I know he can guide me through every storm in my life too.
From huge dangers to reunion, from despair to freedom. Madame Little Lamb's parents lived through what can only be called a miracle. God stacked their life pathways long before they knew it, guiding them through bombs, seas, and mountains to meet again. Even when we can't see the way, he is already there, preparing our freedom before we take the first step. The Bible verse for this episode is Psalms 22, 9-10. But thou art he that took me out of the womb. Thou didst make me hope when I was upon my mother's breasts. I was cast upon thee from the womb. Thou art my God from my mother's belly. Thank you for listening. Until next time, remember, even when the path seems impossible, God may already be making a way through.